Hey, I'm Tron and this is Word, the daily journey through God's Word, one chapter at a time. We have arrived at Exodus chapter 10, 29 verses long. The storm has passed, and the Lord tells Moses to go back to Pharaoh to make another petition for the Israelites' release. Pharaoh grants an audience, and his staff petitions him to listen and let God's people go, when locusts will be the consequence for inaction. Yet again, he does his own thing, refusing to submit or acknowledge the Lord. Instead, Pharaoh tries to bargain with Moses and Aaron. The Hebrew people can go for a while, but will have to leave their kids and wives behind. The Egyptian monarch wants some reassurance that his workforce will return. Then he throws the brother messengers out of his palace. God tells Moses what's coming up next in verse 12. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the land of Egypt to bring on the locusts. Let them cover the land and devour every plant that survived the hailstorm. Every Egyptian green leaf is consumed by the swarm of hungry insects. Any potential food is wiped out. Even best case scenario is starvation for seasons to come. It'll take years for the country to recover." Pharaoh hurries the men back to put an end to the plague, admitting he made a grave mistake. But as soon as Moses lifts his hands to heaven to release the Lord's judgment, the king changes his mind in verse 20. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart again, so he refused to let the people go. The Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. I don't necessarily think the Lord changed it, but was the reason for Pharaoh's determination. He and his subjects considered the regent of Egypt a deity, and perhaps because he realizes his human nature, hates that he isn't a god, and holds on to what he is in control of, at least in his mind, the Hebrew slaves. The time for reasoning is over. Only raw emotions left. The Lord will now take all light away from Egypt in verses 22 and 23. So Moses lifted his hand to the sky, and a deep darkness covered the entire land of Egypt for 3 days. During all that time, the people could not see each other. No one moved. But there was light, as usual, where the people of Israel lived. This is a tangible darkness that can be felt. Nothing the Egyptians have lights anything. Each one is paralyzed in what had to be a spiritual oppression-like experience. 72 hours of complete isolation. This could very well be as close to a feeling of hell as an individual could sense on earth. Pharaoh calls for Moses again and begs him to have it all end. He wants the children of Israel to go, but leave their animals and stuff behind. When Moses replies that it all has to come with, Pharaoh tells Moses to take a hike in verses 28 and 29. "Get out of here," Pharaoh shouted at Moses. "I'm warning you, never come back to see me again. The day you see my face, you will die." "Very well," Moses replied, "I will never see your face again." The imaginary door slamming behind him on the way out. The Lord is not done yet. They will see each other again, and both will at least then survive. The worst judgment is yet to come. Tomorrow, in Exodus 11. Until then, Word.